everybody. Welcome to another episode of Altar Call MAFS. I'm your host, Tane, with another episode of MAFS. Today is another catch up episode, and my guest today, we are bringing her out of her bubble that she had on the season, and it is Belynda from season 19. Hi, Belynda. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It's such a pleasure to have. I spoke to Brittany not long ago. I'm speaking to you now. So it's a pleasure for me to speak to people for a season that was new to us as viewers. We are day one viewers, and this is so completely different. So I'm excited to get into it with you. But my first question, as always, is how are you? How are you doing, especially since the show came out and the show is done now?
I'm doing good. We've received a lot of really nice feedback and comments from people, and they've, really come out and shown us a lot of love, and I really appreciate that because it's not easy putting yourself out there, but
Mhm.
yeah, that's been nice. I feel I'm good.
That's good. That's good. I mean, honestly, that's good. Like the internet is vicious and
Yeah.
it's a lot, like you said, to put yourself out there. So one of the top questions that I got and that I want to know is how did you get on the show? We got a flashback of a phone call from Pastor Cal, and we're like, surely it just wasn't, hey, you single? Come on down. What was your journey to coming on MAFS?
Yeah, it's funny because that actually is how it happened. So Jalen was going through the process. Like she started
Mm-hmm.
very early on in the process where she went to rooms with, I don't know, 70
Mm-hmm.
to 100 people and
Mm-hmm.
did all the interviews. And then she got to the interview where they actually filmed inside her home,
Mm-hmm.
and Pastor Cal's with her, and he says, let's call somebody and see if they think you should be married at first sight.
Yeah.
And so he said, who do you want to call? She said, I want to call my mom. And the funny thing is I was working that day and I worked from home.
Yeah.
And I had taken a late lunch break just because of the way my calls had gone. Normally, I wouldn't have been able to answer the phone.
Yeah.
But I was out walking my dog and I get the phone call and I just think her interview's over. So I'm like, oh my gosh, how did it go? And she's like, well, there's someone here who wants to talk with you.
Yeah.
And it's Pastor Cal, and we went through the whole thing. Like, do you think she's ready to get married? And answered all those questions. And then he said, I hear you're single. And then he asked hypothetically, right? He said,
Yeah.
would you get married at first sight? And I was like, yeah, that would eliminate a whole bunch of bad dates I have to go on. um, and so we hang up, and a few minutes later, Jalen's calling me back, and she's like, "Mom, the executive producer walked into the apartment and was like, how old is your mom? And if she's serious, have her send us the pictures." And so we did, and then I went through the interview process, like
Yeah.
with I interviewed with the experts, and
Yeah.
then of course did all the other stuff. Mhm.
Wow. And on the episode we reviewed, we were like, surely there has to be more to it. It wasn't that, but oh, that's an interesting story. So
Yeah,
would you say you are a risk taker, or this is the biggest risk you've ever taken in your life?
this is probably the I would say the biggest risk I've ever taken in my life. I wouldn't say that I'm a risk taker at all,
Okay.
but I would say that I have always been like open to things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I'm a risk taker,
Okay.
but I'm pretty open minded.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I mean, I didn't guess like if you were a risk taker or not, but I was just like, for you to be so open to this, that's pretty cool. So at the time when you said yes and you were going through the process, was there any point where you were like, "Oh my god, oh shit, what am I doing? Should I back out now?" Or were you just like, "Hey, this is great."
No, I mean, I was just like all for it. Like, let's do it. I mean, I had watched the show for years, like in the
Okay.
early days when the couples had to go look for their own place to live. Like, I'd watched
Yeah.
that long. And I love to like, watch the show and analyze all the couples and do all
Yeah.
that. And so I was like, okay, I mean, this is like a chance for me to like actually live through something that I had seen. And
Yeah.
I thought it would be fun. I thought this is an adventure. And, at my age, like, when do we get to do fun things
Yeah.
like this?
Yeah.
That was my thought process, right? Going in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in shock because could not be me because I'm just like, "Oh my god, freaking out." But did you have any apprehensions doing the show with Jalen? Was there any, like,
um,
protectiveness in that or anything?
when they first said that we were both going to be on it, or actually like right before that, I think I kind of stopped. It was right beginning at the beginning when I started to send the pictures, I think is when it was. And I said to her, I said, wait a minute. Like, are you okay with this? Because like, this
Mhm.
is your thing. I don't want to take anything away from you. And she was like, Mom, no. And she had told the experts, or she had told the executive producer when he came into her apartment, he was like, if your mom would be interested. And she said, I'd rather you match my mom. Like, if I
Oh,
had to pick one of us, I'd rather it be her. And then when she said that, I was like, no, don't say that because I want them to pick you.
yeah.
And so I think we just wanted it for each other, you know?
Mhm.
She had been through relationships and, gotten close to that point where she thought she'd marry somebody. And then,
Mhm.
and so I just thought it would be fun. I never thought it would be an issue that both of us were doing it. And I think it's
Yeah.
because we've never really been like the type to like meddle or interfere in our
Mhm.
own relationships.
Yeah. So at the time that you went through the process, how long ago had you been divorced at that time?
Oh, I've lost count. I think maybe I was on year 7 or 8.
Okay, so you're 7 and 8 because my next question was going to be not that you needed his permission or anything, but did you give him a heads up that you were going to be on the show?
Um she told him because that's her dad, and but
Yes.
no, I didn't feel that I had to give anybody a
Yeah.
heads up. I'm my
Mhm.
own person.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not that you needed to, but I knew that there was going to be filming
Yeah.
in that scene where they excuse him, and then you told Josh like, "Hey, I'm getting married tomorrow." So I just thought about it, like, wait, did he know that you were going to be married at that
Yeah, he did
time?
know. He
Okay,
did know that
because
we were both going to do it. Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's sort of yeah. Okay, cool. So when you spoke to the experts, what were the things that you asked for, and what were the things that were your deal breakers?
Oh my God, that's so funny because when I spoke to them and they asked, like, what are your deal breakers? I said, someone who has road rage. Like, I
Well,
don't want someone who has road rage. So, yeah, that was one of the things I said. I guess in the moment it was hard. It was like I couldn't really think, of much, but I couldn't think of a way to say, like, I just don't want anybody who's got anger issues. You know what I mean? So I was
yeah,
like, someone who doesn't have road rage. Um, but something I was looking for in a partner was somebody who was, just ready to like have fun in life because at
yeah,
this age, like we've done all the hard stuff. And I just felt like it's time to enjoy it. And we don't have
yeah.
to raise kids anymore. We don't have to do any of the hard work. Now it's like we're both established. I work, I support myself. This man's going to work and support himself. And and why shouldn't we just have a good time?
Mhm.
I know there's going to be bumps in the road, but we should still be enjoying life?
Yeah, I agree. And I think I want to say I know it's older than the ages that they've had in the past, but I didn't think 47 was like old.
That
Like
old,
everyone just kept saying I was like it's not that old. But
right?
but I know it was older than the other age. But correct me if I'm wrong. My read on you was just like you've been there, done that. You've done the marriage and you weren't happy with things that happened. And now you were in your state of life where it was more like I think what I said was YOLO. Like, I just want to have fun. I want to live my life to the best. And I don't want anything that protects or threatens that peace and bubble that I built for myself. Is that,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. I spent, I think it goes back to COVID 2020 when I spent time that I really got to reflect on myself and everything. And that's when I started to create this like bubble, right? That
yeah.
is so talked about.
Yeah.
That I was told I can't live in forever, but I can. And my bubble is not little. It's not like it surrounds me
Yeah.
right here. My bubble includes all the people that care about me, that love me, that aren't, they wish me the best. They're not people
Yeah.
who are envious or jealous or things like that, or who
Hmm.
drain my energy. And I think that that's valid to be able to have that.
Yeah. And I think I was watching again when the experts were talking about matching you with Chad, and they said, and I quote, he's a fun loving guy who doesn't take things seriously. Would you agree with that?
I feel like to a certain extent there is a fun loving guy.
Okay.
Um, I think that unfortunately there's so much more
Yeah.
and maybe life trauma or
Yeah.
something
Hmm.
that kind of keeps that fun loving guy from living his best life. That's how I
Yeah.
feel.
Okay. I mean, I think that's fair.
Hmm.
My number one question. throughout the whole thing was why did they think that someone who had been married 3 times would be a good candidate to match with you, who's like, I'm in my new phase of life and I just want everything, to go a certain way. I've curated what I want my life to look like now. When you found out, and they didn't touch on this in the whole season, was that
Mhm.
a thing of concern for you?
Um, so we were actually we never had like a moment where they told us why we were matched.
Okay.
And as far as the marriages,
Yeah.
in that, I know there's a scene where he's telling my kids how many times he had been married. At this
Yes.
point, I don't know how many times
Yeah.
he's been married.
Mm-hmm.
So that conversation between he and I doesn't come up until later when I ask him how many times he's been married, and then he tells me. So I didn't know for a good while.
Yeah.
And then when we talked about, like, I tried asking him, like, what do you think went wrong in these marriages? And it turned out that he didn't really want to talk about them.
Mm.
And he said maybe one sentence, and that I'm not going to repeat,
Yeah.
because it's saying somebody else did something wrong and not him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I just kind of felt like in that moment, I felt like there was like a red flag that he
Yeah.
didn't want to talk about them, and that the
Mm-hmm.
one thing he did say had nothing to do with him,
Yeah.
where I felt like I had so much to say,
Mm-hmm.
about my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be open about that. And I'd be open
Yeah.
about where I went wrong, and where he might have gone wrong. Like I'm an open book. That's why
Yeah.
I felt like this process was going to be an easy one, because I'm pretty open. And
Yeah.
but he didn't actually want to talk about it. And I kind of had already gotten, I had already started to notice that if he was kind of embarrassed about something, he kind of
Mm-hmm.
would either get angry or he would shut down. And so when
Yeah.
he kept that conversation extremely short, I didn't push on it anymore.
Okay.
I just felt
Okay.
like in the end, it didn't matter. I was going to get to know him, and I could make my own judgment. It didn't matter what happened in the past.
Okay. I mean, that's gracious of you because that was all that was on my mind the whole time was like, how many times? And then even for the experts, was this something they discussed with him? It doesn't even, we don't even have to see it. But is this
Hmm.
something that accountability has been taking? Because my side eye was from, I think his sisters were saying like, oh, he cares too much and he does that. And I'm like, 3 times? There has to be, something over there. Okay.
Yeah, for
So,
me with his sisters, it was when they said that he had lots of layers and that I would have to get through those. And in that
yes.
moment, that's when I was like, oh
Oh,
gosh, like, I know what this means.
you have to do work.
Yeah, it was going to be
Okay.
work.
So that means after you asked that question, got one sentence, so it was never talked about again for the duration
No.
of your marriage. Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. So the wedding day comes. Were you excited? Because I know you said it was the first time you were wearing a wedding dress. It was your first wedding. What were the emotions that were going on at that time for you?
There was a lot of firsts for me. I had never worn a wedding dress. I had never had a bachelorette party, and we got to do all
Mhm.
these things. And for my first time wearing a wedding dress and having my boys walk me down
Oh,
the aisle was so touching. And I feel like I'm so glad it was even captured on a screen, because
yeah.
we didn't have, cameras with us or the ability to take pictures.
Hmm.
And that's a moment that might not ever happen for me,
Hmm.
and I was just excited about that. And then obviously about meeting the person who was going to be at the end of the aisle.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
yeah, a
know.
lot of firsts for me. First wedding dress, first wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Even though, I mean, J-Lo caught some strays, Belinda. You she's like, "If J-Lo can do it." I'm like, "What did J-Lo do?" No, I know it was all in fun, but I thought it was cute, all your
Yeah.
pop culture references, because I think you also quoted Miley Cyrus, like, "I
Yeah.
don't wanna buy my flowers." I was like, "Come on, Belinda." So
That
that was
always
fun.
drives me crazy. I'm like, who wants to buy themselves flowers? Like, this is a thing for this new generation? No.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. So, okay, so you're walking down the aisle, you see Chad, and your first thought is what?
So when I see him, he's smiling. I had already kind of heard everybody laughing before we went down, so I kind of
Mhm,
had a little bit of calm, because I thought, okay, obviously he must be funny because there's people laughing.
mhm,
But when I saw him, I thought he's handsome. Like he looked
mhm,
really handsome in his suit. he seemed really friendly, and he was joking. His family, I looked at them first before I even saw him because I wasn't wearing my contacts or glasses.
Oh.
I didn't even actually wear contacts at the time. I just usually just go without. So I had to look at his family and then my family and then really wait till I got close to look at him so that I could
Okay.
make sure that I could really get a true reaction.
Yeah.
Because if I had looked at him while I was walking down the aisle, he would have just been a blurry man up front and he would have gotten no reaction. But yeah, I thought he was handsome and I thought he looked really good in his suit and seemed friendly.
Okay. And then afterwards, the endless jokes kept coming and they kept coming. And I think your words were, it was continuous. And I'm
Yeah.
like, is that good or is that bad? Did it annoy you or were you really fine with it?
I honestly started to get annoyed because
Okay.
um, what's funny is that it wasn't so much the joking that annoyed me. At first, I was kind of like, "Gosh, he must be really nervous because he's constantly joking." And I know everybody saw, what happened with the photographer, and I think in that moment with the photographer, I was still so nervous that I wasn't even picking up too much on the photographer. I was too in my head about
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, let's get this picture done, and this is a new person.
Hmm.
But what got me was when we got into the wedding and we danced our first song.
Hmm.
And the entire time we danced, it was an instrumental song.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
for some reason in his mind, he thought it was going to be a song that he chose.
Hmm.
And he complained the entire time
Oh,
about the
no.
song. And so I'm just like, okay, like,
Yeah.
can we talk about something instead?
Yeah.
To the point where a producer came and like ran up to us and like leaned in and said, "Stop talking about the song." And then he moved back and left. And then finally, like he stopped talking about the song and we could kind of move on. But
Okay.
that's kind of where the annoyance kind of started. It wasn't so
Okay.
much the joking, but
Jokes.
the joking,
Yeah.
I was more trying to figure out like, is this nerves? Is this how he always is? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I can see how that works. Because I think at some point they didn't show us him getting annoyed at the wedding, but later when they were doing a montage, then they showed like something at the wedding happened, and we were like, oh, so this started earlier than we had
mhm.
seen. So you get through the wedding, you go up to the hotel room, suite, or whatever that you guys had. And I think you mentioned at the reunion, like you guys were comfortable, you went to shower and stuff like that. How were you that comfortable? Was there anything he did that made you comfortable, or it was just the natural chemistry that you guys had,
I
or
think
just you being a free spirit? I guess.
I I think we were both tired, and I was ready to get out of this dress, and I wanted to take a shower, and he was like, "I'm gonna go shower. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Okay." And I just figured if he's that okay with it, well then it's fine. It's not a big deal with me either. I
Hmm.
just think I don't know, it's age. Like, I mean, do we really care that much about the
Much, yeah.
human body? I don't know. I mean, for me, like, will I say I'm 100% confident with my body? No, but I 100% am grateful for my body. It's like
Hmm.
brought kids into the world and it's got me and I'm healthy and it's great. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm just like, plus, I think if you do just jump in the shower together, it's like, well, look, this is what I look like, this is what you look like, and let's get
yeah,
past it.
yeah. It's like an icebreaker. Like this is it.
Right?
Like that's it. We're not
The biggest
delaying anything
icebreaker
else.
you could have.
Okay, that's great. And then, you go to the honeymoon. How was the honeymoon? How would you describe your honeymoon with Chad? What was the theme of it, I guess?
um, when we went to the honeymoon, it's funny because when we were leaving for the honeymoon, he said, I think the honeymoon's gonna be great. There's probably gonna be like less cameras. We'll probably have more time to get to know each other. And I kind of looked at him and I said, I think that we're gonna be filming the whole time. And
Yeah.
he kind of just looked at me like, huh? And then didn't say anything. So I, at that point, was like, I don't know if he understands like that. We are actually, you get a wife
Yeah.
and then you share the journey, right, with people.
Yeah.
And so we got to the honeymoon, and of course, we were filming. And let me tell you, it is hard to change out your bra in the humidity of Panama 3 times a day. You're like changing your outfit, change your outfit. It requires a different bra, and you're moving around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get to honeymoon. We're having a good time. We're enjoying our time with each other. Um, we had a fishing scene that we filmed. I think he was kind of disappointed because I think he thought we were going to actually like sit there and fish, which
In silence.
we were attempting to fish, but we had a whole
Uh-huh.
crew with us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so it's funny, like when we had some downtime, we got to do fun things. But then, then of course we had the fun, and then we had this moment of crashing out as well, which
Yeah.
started to make the journey not as fun anymore.
Yeah. Was there more than what we saw? I know we saw the one at the dinner. And, at the time I had an episode where I had Nicole and Chris from a past episode, and they gave perspective like, hey, some of the the assistants are younger. And he
Hmm.
probably just got annoyed with them, telling him what to do. Understood, we can give grace to that. I've always said, like, Chad's annoyance is not the issue, it's just how you react,
Hmm.
to it, because I'm sure it's just different. But were there more instances, or was that the first, or was that like one of many, the dinner
Um,
that we saw?
yeah, I think so. There was more to the dinner. There was
Okay.
definitely more to the dinner. But I think our producers were in between my age and his age, around
Oh,
there. So we were
okay.
all the same age. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's a big thing that's come up. Everybody keeps thinking some 20-year-old was trying to tell them what to do. And
Yeah.
no, our producers were, um,
Okay.
you know, our age.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
but there was more at the dinner. And I feel like our producer tried to give us feedback, and he didn't take it well. I think he got embarrassed, and like I said, when he gets embarrassed, that's when I noticed that the embarrassment flipped to anger,
yeah.
which makes sense, right? We're only
Yeah.
angry if we feel some other kind of emotion, and embarrassment, I think, was what he felt,
Yeah.
um, and so to me, it was such an easy fix. Like, just say the last thing you said, so we can hug and walk out of
Yeah.
the scene, and
Hmm.
but he kind of went on and on and on and made a scene about it. And then we did it. And then we did the scene anyway.
Yeah.
But at this point, all of this anger has already popped out. So now we're doing the scene, and now probably my whole face has fallen because I've
Hmm.
had to see all this.
Hmm.
And so we're walking out, and when we walked out, we were standing out there waiting for them to do our separate interviews.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, like, I know you're the boss where you are, but
Yeah.
we're not here. Like, they're
Hmm.
giving us feedback. Like, you're not the boss here.
Yeah.
And it just came out of my mouth. It was instant. And then as soon as I said it, I started to feel like, oh my gosh, like, he's going to feel like I'm not on his side. He's going to feel like, I
Yeah.
don't have his back. And so then I immediately felt bad. But then at the same time, I still felt like it's valid. Like, we don't have to treat people like this just because
Yeah.
we're upset.
Hmm.
And so, of course, we talk about that, which you see weird little glimpses of that. I felt, but leaving the honeymoon was a big one for me. When we left the honeymoon, we were at the airport, no cameras.
Yeah.
Um, and we were going through the security, and he had taken a full size liquor bottle on his carry on. And so they stop him and they say, you can't take this bottle in your carry on. And
Hmm.
so he starts to argue with them. And obviously, they're saying it in another language.
Yeah.
But they're telling him, you can't have the bottle in the carry on. And he's like, but it's not open, but it's not open. And they're like, you can't have it on the carry on. Like, we're keeping this, right? So they're
Yeah.
taking the bottle from him. And so he turns around, and kind of in that last scene where he says F you to everybody, that's what
Yeah.
he said to the people at the airport, really loud.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, I was shook because I don't know anybody. I don't have anybody in my family or friends
Yeah.
that would do something like that in an airport to
Hmm.
people, that when you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
And it's something that came up with Dr. Pepper that was also never shown. And but when we got on the plane, I didn't tell him anything.
Yes.
We got on the plane, and he said, are you okay? It looks like something is bothering you. And I said, what you said to those people at the airport, like that did bother me. I said, and I just have a feeling that maybe our personalities aren't going to mesh well together.
Mm.
And I told him, I said, I don't know anybody who would do something like that or act that way at an airport. And I said, and I've spent time trying to get away from that,
From
away
that.
from
Hmm.
that kind of energy and that kind of personality.
Yeah.
And his response, because there's no cameras around now, he said, well, I think we were just raised differently.
Oh.
So yeah, I kind of felt like, how that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. Like, you're not raised to respect people. I don't believe that. I mean, I
Yeah.
met his family, and I don't believe that he was raised to not have respect for people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was another thing that happened. And you know, I started to question the whole move in when we got home from the honeymoon because of that.
Uh-huh.
And we got home and he blew up at the producer when we got home because she
Yeah.
wanted us to all do a diary. Like everybody was doing a diary cam of saying we just got
Yeah.
back from the airport and, all that stuff. And you know what? Everybody was tired. Everybody was on the same plane.
Yeah.
Everybody was suffering from allergies. um, and he, was upset because he was tired and didn't want to do it. And finally, he's like, okay, let's do it. But if you blow up first and then you say, okay, let's do it, like,
You
do I
shouldn't.
really want to grab my phone and start saying, hey,
Yeah.
we just got, you know what I mean? Like, no, I
Yeah.
really don't. Like, it makes it not fun.
Yeah, the body language and everything is just gonna come through with that. Okay,
Yeah.
so that means you started having doubts like from the honeymoon and things like that. But going back before then, because what they showed us, everything was
Mhm.
fine and you were smiley. Did you feel like he was love bumming you? I listen, I know that phrase is so overused.
Yeah.
Everyone uses it all the time. But it was just he was very complimentary of you, very affectionate, just showing all that. And at that point, I speaking for myself, I couldn't tell if you were feeling him or not, or if it was like, oh, I appreciate this or isn't. But did you think it was too much or it was just right for you?
Um, I honestly, I feel like I've probably been love bombed by everybody. So for me, it felt normal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It felt normal. So sometimes it's hard to
No, if
distinguish, like what is it love bombing or is he really into this? You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I felt that he was being true.
Yeah.
With everything that with the compliments, and we were having a good time. We had a good pool day and we did a whole bunch of things, and so it seemed like everything he was saying, it was true. And
Yeah.
I was too. Like, I really enjoyed hanging out with him, and um we had fun making funny videos about the food we were eating. um and like just pretending that we were like doing like a food, what do you call it when you're like talking about food and saying what you're eating, or
Reviews. Yeah,
yeah,
like
we did something like that.
reviews.
Like, we
Yeah.
were just having fun doing silly stuff like that. And so, yeah, I mean, at that time I felt like he can be really fun. That's why I say that fun
Yeah.
loving guy's there, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden you see something else. And then, at my point, like, I know at the reunion he mentioned that he felt like I was judging him from the beginning, but for me it's not about judgment. It's about observing. And the person that you're with, if you're not observing the person that in the real world, obviously you're dating
Yeah.
the person, you've got to be
Hmm.
observing them, but in this world you're married to the person and you got to be observing them to know what you're going to decide at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of I think maybe Chad didn't know what to expect with reality TV, but also I don't think anyone knows what to expect with it. Like even for you,
Mhm.
I'm sure
Mhm.
it was like a shock for you, certain things like you've never filmed a reality show before.
No.
So, there's that. But I will say what was the most shocking thing for you? Or what was the hardest thing for you filming a reality show?
The hardest thing filming was the very beginning. When you're first on camera, your brain is like thinking a whole bunch of things. Like, you're thinking about,
Yeah.
like, how do I answer this question, or how do I talk about this, and will I offend somebody at home? Will I offend,
Mhm. Mhm.
things like that. Like, I don't like, the ex-husband comes into play, and it's like those
Yeah.
are things that I kind of didn't want to happen. And so
Yeah.
you're trying to talk, but you're at the same time you're kind of fighting yourself with, like, making sure that you keep everybody okay, because everybody
Yeah.
on the home front, like, they didn't sign up for it,
Yeah.
and that was the mind juggle was
Yeah.
really hard with that.
Yeah.
Trying to keep everybody safe. But I think that's, I'm also that type of person who I can't just think about me. I got to think about 5,000 other people at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can imagine. That sounds exhausting too. But yeah, I think another thing that Chad struggled with is the schedules. How were you guys' schedules? Like, how far ahead were you giving the schedule? Because again, I understand, like, nobody knew how reality show was going to work, but you have to allow for some flexibility. But what was it like for you guys? What were you given? What did you know? And how often did you have to adjust to it?
So we knew we were filming every day, until we moved in to the apartment. Then they told us, okay, now we get to film, and have 2 days off. which was
Mhm.
nice, or 1 or 2
Okay.
days off. I think it was 2 days.
Okay.
And at first we filmed every day. Then
Okay.
it changed and we started to film 5 days and then off 2 days,
Mhm.
which was a really nice break because we still work our work schedule.
Yeah.
They're really good with working around the work schedule.
Mhm.
Mine was simple. It's 10 to 6:30. Chad, I'd be working at 10, and Chad usually left the apartment around 10:30 or 10, just depending what time he woke up.
Mhm.
Um, and because according to Chad, he didn't have a schedule, and he told me like, "Hey, I'm the boss. I can, like he talked about
Mhm.
traveling. We can travel. We can do this. He made it sound like his schedule was very flexible.
Mhm.
Um, so my schedule was the one that was very set. Like it was
Yeah.
10 to 6:30. That's it. So we would film literally at 6:35. Like because I work from home, so I would just shut
Yeah.
my laptop, walk out of the room, and bingo, here's cameras, and we're ready
Yeah.
to mic up and stuff. So as far as the schedule went, what everybody sees as far as the schedule, it was one incident that
Mm.
caused the whole schedule issue.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was one incident, and
Okay.
that's what like blew up, and that's the one thing everybody knows about the schedule, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I thought it was multiple times because he said, "Oh, you're doing this and doing that." Okay. So it's just one thing. So that's I don't even know where to go from this. Okay, so when he so so part of your issue, I think in one of the complaints was that, you had a hair appointment and you were like,
Yep.
"Don't bring me into this."
Yeah.
And was it just okay, so he said he was uncomfortable. I think I'll just go all the way back. When you moved in, he said he was uncomfortable in the apartment.
Hmm.
Was there not a choice for him to maybe stay in his own home? Because we see, I think Rhonda did that. So I
Hmm.
think I was wondering, was there a choice, or was it maybe he had the choice, but you didn't want to move into his place? Or what was the situation with the housing if he was so uncomfortable with the apartment? And also, did you know he was uncomfortable until you asked?
At one point later, he did tell me he was very uncomfortable with the apartment. Right. I think they show that, and it was at that point that I had a conversation with him, and I was like, if you really feel that you want to go home, you can sleep at home if you want, and if you want, I will go with you. If you don't want, I'll stay here at the apartment. But I, throughout the process, was always like trying to help him be comfortable as well. So I know everybody's like, "But the dog, she didn't care," and that wasn't true at all. Actually, I was the one who mentioned. I had actually called my son's fiance and said, "Okay, because they have a huge lab." I said, "How do you get the
Yeah.
dog out of the bed, right? Because my dog was trained to sleep on the bed with
Yeah.
me. I'm a single woman. Why not?"
Yeah.
Um, and and so she said, "Well, we bought this bed." And so I told Chad about it, and I said, I talked to the kids. They said, maybe I could buy one of these. And 2 days later, that bed showed up because he ordered it. And then I, tried to get Levy to start sleeping on it. I would just tap. I put it on the side of our bed, but it was on the floor, and
Hmm.
I would just
Hmm.
tap on it, and he would lay on it. And so I remember the first night he's in the living room, and Chad says, "Did he lay on it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'll be there in a little bit."
And
Nope.
then,
He
hmm
he did his thing and didn't come. I mean, come to the room until like sometime in the middle of the night.
hmm
Well, I was already asleep, and
yeah.
then tried it again the second night, and he didn't come to the room then either.
Yeah.
So then I mean, the second night, honestly, I was laying there kind of scrolling through my phone, and I was thinking to myself, I'm married and I'm still sleeping alone in my bed. Got the dog off the bed, and I'm still
Yeah.
sleeping alone in my bed. Like I
Yeah.
could be single instead, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay. So that makes sense now what you said, later on when you were like, you don't want to wind down, by yourself and he wasn't playing his part. But going back to when you made him that offer to stay in his house or stay here,
Mhm.
what did he say to that?
He said he was fine, that he didn't want to do that. I mean, he really didn't say anything that I can even remember. I just remember telling him like, if you need to, I mean, stay there. If you want me to go over there, I can stay with you. I said, or maybe we can do 2 nights there, 2 nights here. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I feel like it kind of just went on deaf ears, and I don't know.
Mm. Nothing happened. And this made me remember, did you get ready for your wedding? Were you at the hotel or were you in your house?
I was at the hotel.
Okay, because I think Chad got ready at his house, Rhonda got ready at
Mhm.
her house, and I was like, is that a choice? Like that the
I don't know.
older in quotes cast wanted to do that, but just didn't think about that. Okay. So two
Yeah.
things they didn't really spend time on, and it's just whatever you're comfortable talking about, was at the reunion you mentioned like your real issue was the drinking. And then I
Mhm.
feel like his anxiety, it just seems like later on was when we found out, because going back at the 1 month retreat, the 1 month anniversary, it felt like you guys were fine. Like you were
Mhm.
still, okay. And it seemed like the honeymoon, you guys decided to just keep things surface, keep things light, enjoy each other's company. And then when you move back, things seemed to be fine. And then all these things just came from nowhere. Is it just
Mhm.
what they showed us? Or had you started having concerns? I know you started having concerns from the honeymoon, but like when it really, I guess, escalated for you, how much of that did both play in terms of like the anxiety and the drinking, like you mentioned, for you?
Yeah, I think so for me with the drinking, like at the wedding, I noticed that he was drinking. I really couldn't, I didn't know how much he had drank. So
Yeah.
to me, I was like,
Hmm.
it's a wedding, right?
Hmm.
Honeymoon, same thing. I gave grace because I was like, this is a
Hmm.
honeymoon. It's
Hmm.
fun time. We
Hmm.
got in the apartment, and that's when I kind of started to notice it. And then when I finally was like, okay, this is what it is.
Yes. Yeah.
That conversation that I have with Dr. Pia on
Yes.
camera, that you guys saw
Yes.
about my bubble.
Yes.
So I know Chad has this kind of look on his face. I think when I
Yeah.
say that today my decision may not be a yes,
Hmm.
um, I feel like that was the face he made when I told Dr. Pia in that conversation that he was drinking all night and that I
Mm.
was concerned. I
Hmm.
had already had a conversation with Chad before Dr. Pia was there.
Mm.
And I tried to make it a very nice, easy conversation with him, without him feeling like attacked in any way. And I told him, I said, like, I'm just concerned. I said, because you do take medications for a lot of other things.
Hmm.
And if you are drinking this much, how are any of those medications like working? It just
Hmm.
doesn't,
Hmm.
make sense to me.
Hmm.
And and in that conversation with him, I told him, I said, like, you've got a daughter and you've got all this family that care about you. Like, I think that you you need to, if you don't do it for yourself, like, you've got other people who care about you and you should take care
Hmm.
of yourself.
Hmm.
And in that conversation, that was our conversation off camera. When we talked to Dr. Pia, I brought that up to Dr. Pia. I repeated everything I said to him to Dr. Pia.
Hmm.
And I remember specifically because she said, Belinda, why wouldn't you say that he's got you? Why would you just say his family and his daughter? She had
Hmm.
asked me that question. And I
Hmm.
said, the reason why I don't say me, I said, is because I'm new. I'm the new person here.
Yeah.
And he's had these people in his life forever. And I just want him to know that if he can't find it in his heart to do it for himself, he should maybe try doing it for them, you
Mhm.
know? Um,
Mhm.
and I took myself out of the equation,
Mhm.
I didn't come to Married at First Sight to get a husband so that I could try changing somebody or
Yeah.
saving somebody. Like
Mhm.
that's not what I'm doing here. What I'm looking for a person who's ready for me. And he wasn't, but that conversation was with Dr. Pia and they never showed it. So we
Yeah.
talk about the alcohol early on.
Okay.
And I think that's when his face got really red, and that reaction he had was when I told
Mhm.
Dr. Pia, because she kind of looked at him and she said very quickly, she's like, Chad, are you really drinking with your medication? How many
Mhm.
drinks? And I think that's the panic look he got. And then he said, I think she saw the panic in his face, so she
Yeah.
changed it and she said, wait, are you drinking one drink with those medications? And he said yes. And she said, well, that's too much.
Mm.
So he never actually answered how much he was drinking because she changed the question for him.
Yeah.
And and yeah, and then none of it's shown. So it kind of looks like it's all coming out of nowhere when we're having these conversations. In fact, the conversation at his house when we're arguing,
Yeah.
he says, I want to apologize for the last couple of days of how I acted. And he says, but I feel like I've been like hit by a train. And then he said it a different way. And I said, how so? And he said, you brought things up to Dr. Pia that I didn't know you were going to bring up.
Mm.
And immediately I knew he was talking about the alcohol. And I
Mhm.
said, everything I brought up to Dr. Pia was something you and I had already spoken about. I said, but
Mhm.
what did I bring up to Dr. Pia? I think at that point he realized that if he said the alcohol, then he's bringing it back into the
Back up.
storyline.
Mhm.
And so instead, he said, you brought up Lovey, my dog, which I
Mhm.
never brought up the dog with Dr. Pia. He had brought up the dog.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, I'm literally sitting here because you wanted to have a talk. I thought I was getting an apology for all the nonsense you've already gone through.
Yeah.
And instead, now you're trying to like deflect, gaslight, whatever it is. Like you're just trying to take this whole narrative into somewhere that it's not even about. And that was
Yeah.
frustrating. And that's why I walked out of that conversation because I said, look, I'm at this point, I'm 47, right? Now I'm
Mhm.
48. I
Mhm.
don't have a lot of energy. Maybe it's
Yeah.
perimenopause. I don't know. But my energy, I can't waste it on something that's not worth my time. And if you are not being
Mhm.
honest with me, and if I know you're not being honest with me, and I know you're being manipulative, I'm not going to sit there and listen. And he took that as me running from conflict. I don't run from conflict. I'm okay with conflict.
Mhm.
Do I like it? No, who does? But I'm not going to sit there and use the energy that I have on
Yeah.
something that is not going to benefit me in some way.
Yeah. See, this is why I like having these conversations because that's a lot of context,
Mhm,
that we didn't have. Because honestly, with the lovey, I was just like, I mean, she didn't get her dog out. Like, what is she supposed to do? But then you're just telling us now you tried for 2 days and still he didn't come in. So,
mhm.
okay. So, how much? Wait, let me go back. Do you know can you think of reasons why you think you were matched even though you weren't told? Can you think of why you were matched with Chad?
Um, I don't know how much they knew about him as far as matching us, but where I see that we have similarities is like, he cares for people. He likes doing things for people, and he's got this, great relationship with his daughter,
Yeah.
and cares about family. I'm a family person too, and I've got
Yeah.
great relationships with my kids, and I care about people where he can do big events like these golf tournaments he does to raise money for
Mhm.
certain things. I don't do things like that. For me, it's more
Mhm.
about
The holidays are almost here, and if you still have names on your list, don't panic. Uncommon Goods makes holiday shopping stress-free and joyful with thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts you can't find anywhere else. You'll discover presents that feel meaningful and personal, never rushed or last minute. Uncommon Goods look for products that are high quality, unique, and crafted by independent artists, so every gift feels special and thoughtfully chosen. I saw these super comfy crewneck sweatshirts by Kindle and Jake Chambers, where you can have your pets' cute little faces custom embroidered on them. And I just know my friends with fur babies would absolutely love them, so they're in my cart. I'm gonna get them for Christmas gifts. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3.1 million to date. So don't wait. Make this holiday the year you give something truly unforgettable. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/altacallmafs. That's uncommongoods.com/altacallmafs for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
being there for people, um, being someone that they can talk to, someone who will listen,
Mhm.
and I just try to be there for people like that.
Mhm.
But I think
Yeah.
that those were the similarities. And when I learned that about him, um, that was kind of when I thought, okay, I can see, how this could be possible. Like we had a really
Mhm.
good conversation one night. Um, on the couch, and he really kind of let me into the whole like his past military life that he didn't want to have, that he didn't want to talk
Mhm.
about on the show at all.
Okay.
um, he did tell me he had PTSD,
Mhm.
and he told me a lot about that, and he got very emotional. And
Okay.
so for me, it was a moment to really like see him, and see some of the things he had gone through.
Mhm.
At the end of the conversation, and I didn't think this is okay. So at the end of the conversation, he said, "This is the reason why I don't want the cameras in the living room, because normally there's cameras hanging in the living
Yeah.
room."
Mhm.
And I was so caught by the story he had just said, and by
Yeah.
all his emotion, that in my mind I thought, "Okay, we don't need cameras. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
take care of you. We don't need the cameras. We'll take care of
Yeah.
you, right?" Even though I wanted the Nest cameras in
Mhm.
there because I was told they were there for safety.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we had a really great moment one night when we were dancing, and Nest
Yeah.
cameras would have captured that.
Yeah.
Um, and and even that night he was like, I feel like I'm jumping everywhere, but that night he was like, we should do a diary cam about all the fun we just had. And I'm like, if we had
Yeah.
the Nest cameras, people would know we had fun.
Wait, so you guys didn't have yours at all? I'm just thinking now we didn't have
No,
any security cam footage for you guys. Ah, okay.
no. I keep
Okay.
I've seen comments from people who are saying, if her dog barks all day, where's the camera footage for it? And I'm like, there isn't any, because he didn't want camera footage because he was drinking every night on the couch in that
Ah,
living room.
okay.
And so there's no camera footage from the living room other than him. I'm sure there's footage of him going and unplugging those
Mhm.
cameras because we use
Mhm.
them to film. And then when the filming crew would be gone, he'd unplug them. Um, but yeah, there is no cameras. So he could basically say my dog barks all day long, even though he doesn't. He's under the table now. My dog knows when my laptop is open that I'm working because I work from
Yeah.
home. I worked from home
Mhm.
from 6:30. So my
Mhm.
dog always knew if my laptop was open, like that's a working day for me, and he's
Mhm.
quiet the entire day.
And you guys were allowed to not have the cameras? They were like okay with that?
That's just crazy to me. And everybody else had their cameras. This
Yeah.
was another red flag for me, was when that night he told me that's the reason why he didn't want the cameras. So I was like, okay, fine, like I'll drop, like, not that I told him anything about the cameras, but I was like, okay, in my mind I'll let the camera thing go.
Mhm.
But how that happened was I worked for like an aesthetic center. And so I have HIPAA law. So when I do my consultations, they're like this on Zoom, and we have HIPAA law.
Mhm.
And he told the executive producer, because Belynda has HIPAA law, we cannot have those cameras in the living room. I said to him 3 times, I can work out of the bedroom. I am okay. I have worked out of my bedroom for a year. The first year I had this job, I worked out of my bedroom. I am perfectly
Yeah.
fine. Still went behind my back, called the executive producer on the phone, and had conversations with him several times, telling him we couldn't do it because of me.
Yeah.
And this is why at the sushi restaurant, I'm saying you don't talk for me, because he's been doing it since the beginning. And
Okay.
it was starting to get to the point where I just felt like I was this human shield.
Yeah.
He's protecting himself by using me. And
Yeah.
I was fed up. I was frustrated. And this is why I had the conversation with Dr. Pia. All of this frustration just started to set in. I was trying to be there for him. I was trying to give grace. I was trying to stay open minded and open hearted, because I told myself, you got to stay open minded, open hearted. Like, give him a
Mhm.
chance. Even if you see red
Mhm.
flags, give him a chance. Um, but that frustration started to set in. Those cameras, uh, that him telling them that it was because of my HIPAA law, but then
Yeah.
having a conversation with me that was very heartfelt about the military, ending
Yeah.
that conversation with, it's because of that trauma that I don't want the cameras,
Yeah.
only to go have dinner with all the couples one night. And he sat
Mm.
there, it wasn't nighttime, it was during the day, maybe lunch. But he told all of them, yeah, we don't have Nest cameras. I told them Belinda had HIPAA law. We don't have Nest cameras. And everybody was like, what? We need to try to like not have Nest camera. And he's like, we don't have them. When I saw him bragging about it,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, ugh,
Yeah.
that's not cool.
Yeah. So these are all the things that, we didn't get to see, I guess. So
Mhm.
we just had to form our opinions then. So I guess, the main thing is Chad was not ready for reality TV,
No.
I guess, and that was a huge block, and he was trying to control that, for himself, in that way. Ah, that sucks. Okay, so at the reunion, no,
Hmm.
actually, I shouldn't go to the reunion. I should go back to decision day because I was so sure you were saying no. We
Yeah.
get to decision day, and he gets on his knees and says, "Would you say yes?" And then you say yes, and I'm like, "Belinda, what's up? What's going on? What?
Yeah.
What was happening? What was the thought process in that? Why did you say yes?"
A few of like I would maybe say like a couple of weeks before decision day, we were having a really fun moment and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
we were joking, and I said, on decision day, are you gonna like re-propose? And I kind of just, it was a joke. We laughed about it. Um, and I guess he took me seriously. So on decision day, he was like, let me get on my knees because you said, are you gonna propose? Right. Um, and On decision day, like the night before decision day, I felt at peace with my decision. My decision was to say yes, and my decision was to say yes because I felt like he and I had had a conversation where he had said, "I just don't think I can be the man for you with the cameras around." And
Mm-hmm.
so I thought, if I'm going to go through with the whole experiment, right, I'm going to give it a chance on camera and off camera.
Yeah.
And then I can walk away with zero regrets if I have to walk away, or if it turns out that it was all because of the cameras,
Mm-hmm.
then things will be better.
Yeah.
Um, did I have my doubts? Yes. But I was also telling myself, like that inner dialogue, I'm telling myself, if you're going to go in with an open mind, open heart, you should go in and just give it a full chance. And a full
Mm-hmm.
chance to me was on and off camera.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the reason why I said yes. I felt like he was the type of person that I could count on, when it came to if I ever needed somebody, as far as like, I don't know, doing things like acts of services or something. But when it came to peace, I couldn't count on it. And I feel like I was sacrificing that just to give him that chance off camera, which
Yeah.
I didn't realize in the moment.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it until after watching the show. I thought you really sacrificed your own peace just to give him that chance. So I feel like I gave him every opportunity that I could. I feel like I gave the whole marriage every opportunity that I could. And yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad about walking away from it as easy as I did. I know Brittany was like, "Do you feel like maybe you weren't that into him, that you were easily walking away?" And I said,
Yeah.
"No, I think I'm that in tune with myself.
Yeah.
And that's why I could easily walk away."
Yeah, I think that was you saw it once. It was like, you're not going to show me twice. And I'm just going to leave
Yeah.
right now. And then you walked away. Did you find that the experts were helpful? I know you just mentioned Dr. Pepper. You had a conversation with Dr. Pepper. We did not see Dr. Pepper, but for the rest of the experts that you spoke to, did you find that they were helpful at the time? Because I will say this, that conversation, I think with Dr. Pia, I was like, what? I don't know if there was a resolution there, but again, I don't know what editing is because this was a very fast paced season. But
Mhm.
you experienced it. Did you find them helpful?
I found them very confusing at times.
Yeah.
When we had our time with Dr. Pepper, which I think
Yeah.
this was a very big mistake and we shouldn't have done it. Chad decided to make something at the stove uh, for them, for her, so we could have like some appetizers. And
Hmm.
so the entire visit, he's mostly spending his time talking at the stove until we try his appetizers. And I feel like it's hard for Dr. Pepper and I to have a conversation that has to do with holding Chad accountable while he's
Yeah.
cooking for us. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't know if that makes sense, but the
No, no,
man's
it
doing
does.
something nice for us. And she brings up the incident at the airport with the bottle in
Yes.
the bag. And I
Yes.
didn't know that that was going to be brought up, right?
Okay.
Um, so I was kind of taken by surprise because that incident was not on camera.
Yeah.
Um, but I had told my producer about it because I had been concerned about it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't prepared in my mind, right? And so when she brought it up, she asked me, what upsets you the most about it? And she named three different things. And one of those things was, do you feel like if he talks to them that way, he'll talk to you that way? And I said, yes, that's the one. If he talks to them that way, he'll eventually talk to me that way. And she said, um, well, it's almost like you're forecasting. And that's not good, right? Forecasting. But then she asked Chad, why would you do that? And Chad's answer was that if he feels that he's being stolen from or his family's being stolen from, that he will protect. That was the answer.
Okay.
And she really didn't say, I don't remember her saying much about that being right or wrong, but in my eyes, you're not being stolen from. You were in the wrong. You legitly could not take that bottle on a carry-on.
Yeah.
So you're not being stolen from. You made a mistake and they're correcting the mistake.
Yeah.
So I was very confused. And the whole forecasting thing, I honestly maybe if I was 20, maybe, but at this point I'm 47 years old. That's not
Hmm.
forecasting. That's already having life experience and knowing that if someone treats people like that, they're going to treat you like that. That's a given. No one's
Yeah.
going to treat a bunch of strangers like that and then treat the person that they care about the most better.
Yeah.
You're more comfortable with who you care about with the most. Like,
Yeah.
so if you're going to treat someone bad, it's probably going to be them. you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it was confusing. But in the moment, you're kind of like, what? Like, am I wrong? Is she wrong or am
Mhm.
I wrong? Or like, I, I can't possibly, like, she can't possibly be wrong, right? She's got to have some kind
Mhm.
of a point. I need to take this in and I need to, try to understand it. And am I
Yeah.
forecasting? And you start overthinking. And same with Dr. Pia when she said I couldn't live in that bubble. And then she says, do you want to be single forever? And in that moment, I had so much going on in my mind because I'm thinking, okay, I just told her that he's been drinking. Like, the man drinks
Yeah.
morning, noon, and night.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling her that there's a problem here. And
Mhm.
so my thoughts are kind of everywhere. And when she says, like, do you want to be single forever? My I don't even hear that. My thoughts are
Yeah.
still on the fact that I just told her this man's been drinking. And
Yeah.
watching it back and
Yeah.
hearing it, then I'm like, heck yeah, I'll be single.
Mhm.
I mean, if that's the option, those are my two options, to be with somebody
Yeah.
like this or to be single. Yes, I will be single. Yes, I will
Yeah.
live in my bubble.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very hard when you're actually in there because you're thinking about so many different things. So
Yeah. I can imagine because again, as viewers, it's not as much of a struggle for you guys, but for me, it's just like what is editing, what is not shown, and what is reality? Because we're criticizing you guys sometimes and we're praising sometimes, but we don't know what the full story is. But I know during that scene, I was like, are we threatening her with singledom? It's not a threat. If she doesn't have her peace, like what? So that was very interesting. Did you
this
have
is
any
me single right now. My apartment is really nice and quiet. The dog's actually not barking. He sits under the table right here because he thinks I'm working right now, because my
Yeah.
laptop's open. So yeah, this is peace.
Peace over everything. Did you have any interaction with Pascal at all?
Um, just one time, I want to say that he and Dr. Pia and I think just the two of them.
Oh,
They did
yes.
come and spend some time with Chad and I,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we did get to have that talk with them. And pretty much at this point, that's when Chad and I were doing like really good. And so
Okay.
things were flowing and we were having a good time. And we had, I think, obviously we had already discussed the honeymoon issue. We had already um, discussed all of that. And I think that was all before I had this epiphany of like, okay, I'm being used as a human shield here, and everybody
Yeah.
talked about like, well, Chad's going to be your protector. And it's like, I think I've been protecting this whole
Yeah.
time. Like I've been the
Mhm.
one trying to protect. And I mean, I think from the jump, he said something, he said, they're going to try to make me look like an alcoholic. And I said, oh no. In my mind, I was like, oh no, I will not have anybody make you look like an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I've got
Yeah.
family watching. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no. Um, but I did tell him, I said, anything you do, like it's captured on camera. So, I mean, if that's
Mhm.
something you're worried about, like drink less, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But instead, I think that's where he got the idea of, well, no Nest cameras
Know
and there it
that.
is. Yeah.
Okay. So I do have a question for you where it was kind of maybe a little gripe for you. It was the after scenes that they showed at the reunion. And I think it was when, Chad got annoyed with everybody and was saying all that. And I think your words to him was like, I thought you said your anxiety was because of the cameras. Do you
Hmm.
remember that? Or was
Yeah,
it
yeah.
that? Was it just
When I
that?
said now it's this. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think no, I 100% understand that anxiety can come from everywhere, anything. We can
Hmm.
get triggered all day long
Hmm.
by all kinds of things. So yeah, no, I would totally take back that comment.
Yeah.
I think I was more frustrated in the fact that that the direction was going
Yeah.
away from the main point
Okay.
again. And I thought, here I am again having to look like the crazy person because,
Hmm.
we're talking about one thing and now it's moving to something else that is
Yeah.
not the concern. And I felt like he knows that. He knows, you
Hmm.
know, that we're trying to talk about the alcohol. He knew that.
Yeah.
But no, I know, I definitely, know that he could definitely have been triggered by all of the above, the
Yeah.
dog, the filming, the everything.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I felt triggers I've never felt in my life during this
Yeah.
process.
No.
So I get it 1000% that he was definitely being triggered by things. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
I did hear that comment back and I was like, ugh, it was probably one of those moments where you're just like, stuff's flying out of your mouth at this point. You're
Yeah.
just like, I don't even know what to think anymore.
Yeah, and this was
But
towards the
no.
end too. I mean, I think after how long after did you guys film? After decision day?
After decision day, we had about 4 or 5 days left in the apartment, and
Okay.
we were filming move outs and move ins. So
Okay.
um, yeah, that's where we were at. We were going to film a move out, and I think we did film the move out. We did. We never filmed a move in. We never filmed a move in. Is what we didn't
Okay.
film.
That's when you walked out, right? The move
Yeah,
in. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Like
moved in. Yeah, at night. It was late. Um, and yeah, that was not on film. Cameras were
yeah.
gone,
Hmm.
and I mean, I just didn't feel like after that whole incident, I was just like, that doesn't feel safe at all. I'm leaving.
Okay. Yeah. Your move in was a move out. At
My
the
movement
same
was to move out in probably in an hour span
time.
because we ordered pizza and the pizza got there. We ordered pizza when I got there, and then the pizza got there when I was walking out.
Well.
So
So at the reunion, can you clarify this part where Chad told Kevin to shut up? It looked like it was edited. Did that
mhm.
really happen, or was that something else that it was spliced in too?
It's funny because when we watched it and I saw it, I was like, "What?" Like Jalen and I both look at each other and I said, "I don't remember that." She's like, "I don't either."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would have remembered that because I would have remembered how I would have felt, and that would have
yeah,
made me feel
yeah,
some type of way, and I didn't. So um, he didn't say that directing it to him.
yeah.
He said it as in like probably in his sentence where he said something like, he was telling production shut up
Why?
and let me talk, or I forgot how he
Yeah,
said, but that was aimed more so him trying to tell the story of I was trying to tell production this.
yeah.
Yeah, no, he definitely didn't say it to Kevin. I think Kevin would have snapped right back. And I would have felt super uncomfortable. My heart would have been pounding. I would have been like, oh my God,
Yeah.
these men are about to walk out of here. No,
Okay.
no. That
That
was
was
more in conversation. No, definitely not. Yeah.
okay. Editing again. So what happened to the ring that he gave you?
It's in the bathroom, with the rest of my jewelry. Um, yeah, we had gone to James Avery and picked out
Mhm.
some rings. Um, so yeah, I still have it.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you got to keep it. So, yay. But did you have a relationship with his daughter at all? Was she
Um, I didn't really see her. I want to say I only saw her at the wedding. Oh no. And then we did do like a big family dinner at a restaurant, and she
okay?
and her I'm not sure if she's married yet, but I think she's engaged. I
Okay.
think that's her fiance now. But yeah, we were all there. All our kids were there, and they were all coupled
Okay.
up, and it was super cute because it was,
Okay.
us, and then his daughter and her man, and
Yeah.
my two boys with their girls, and then Jalen and Josh were with us, and I have
Okay.
pictures of that, and I love that because my thing has always been like I want to have that family dynamic.
Yeah.
I want it to be me and a partner, and then whoever, whatever kids they have, and their kids have their people. Like
Yeah.
that. When I look at that picture, I think this is what I've been wanting for a long time. Like I want
Yeah.
that big Thanksgiving table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
everybody sitting in it.
Yeah. But speaking of Josh, did you have any reservations about Josh at any time?
I think the times that Jalen talked to me about things that were going on with Josh, it was more so the Burning Man thing. I just felt like he'll probably grow out of that. Of course, I also didn't know what
Mhm.
Burning Man was. I'm like, I don't know anything about this.
Uh-huh.
I just knew it was something that she was just like, I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
So as far as like reservations of Josh, I mean, I really liked Josh when I got to know him, and like the whole other things that came up, like I guess it was like the ex thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think I think the thing is like Jayla and I will tell each other some things, but we also kind of
Mhm.
hold back a little bit, right? Because it's like
Mhm.
we want each other to know, but we also don't want to upset each other all at the same time.
Yeah.
So, you get bits and pieces. And even like, they were together a whole year and a half afterwards. And even
Yeah.
then, every now and then she'd call and she'd say, like this happened, we had this argument. And sometimes I would be like, hey, like you can't talk that way. And he can't do it
Mhm.
this way. And, but only if she ever called.
Yeah.
But they spent a lot of time together. They were always together. So I
Yeah.
was pretty shocked. Like by the breakup, I was pretty shocked. They did everything together. They were always together.
Yeah.
Um, so
We were
yeah, I
shocked.
was surprised. Of course, I didn't spend like all that time with them,
Yeah.
but
I would say you gave good advice on the
mhm,
show. Like you gave Brittany good advice at one time. You gave Jalen good advice, and you were pretty good at not, jumping in the middle of Jalen's stuff. Like even at the reunion when they were going back and forth, you were like, I've raised her; she can take care of herself. So I
mhm,
appreciated that about you. But looking back,
mhm,
now that we know a little bit about Josh and
mhm,
knowing that, might bend the truth a little bit, going back to that conversation about, when Chad said something about production,
mhm.
when he said Josh told him that production was meddling in their relationship, I was screaming at my TV, like, what did you ask Chad to show you the text? Like,
Oh my
that would
god,
have been an easy fix. Like, do
that
we
would have,
think
right?
yeah, do we think Josh did tell him something and then it's like, no, what was that ever a thought for you or no?
So I feel like I hit a point in my life where I stopped saying I need receipts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm too tired. I don't have that kind of energy. Again, I really don't. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna be dishonest, be dishonest. If you're gonna be honest, I'm not gonna ask you for the proof.
Yeah.
But I did figure it's so much easier to just um, ask Josh, like, hey, did that really happen? Did you really get a
Yeah.
text? Um, I never even thought to say, show me your phone. You know what I mean? Like my
Yeah.
20-year-old self would have said, show me your phone. Let me see.
Yeah.
But this version of myself is too tired for all that drama. And
Mhm.
anyway, at the sushi restaurant, when he said it, he originally
Mhm.
started. This is why I knew it wasn't true, is
Okay.
because he originally started with, I think, production's trying to put a wedge between us. And I said, how
Mhm.
so? And then he said, well, not us, but the other couples. And I said, how do you know? Like, what makes you say that? And he said, well, I
Yeah.
sent a text message to, he said, Derek, Pat, and Josh.
Mm.
So he made it sound like he had sent a group text. The
Mhm.
only person he left out of that was Will. And that is because
Mhm.
Will's like his favorite person. Okay.
Aw. Mhm.
So he didn't say Will's name, right? He
Yeah.
said these three people's names, and then not saying that he doesn't like them or anything, but he does.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
But he said their names, and then and that's when I said, and they said that production's driving a wedge, and he's like, yeah, and I guess he didn't see that there was a reaction on my end, and so then he
Yeah.
kind of changed it and was like, well, Josh said, I sent Josh a text, and he said that production's driving a wedge or whatever. And that's when I was just like, okay, first it's us, then it's these three guys. Now it's just Josh. Like there's, this
Yeah.
can't be true. This is
Yeah.
him trying to tell me don't like production basically. And
Yeah.
that's how I felt. And I felt like at the end of the day, like to me, people are people. Like I don't care if it's production or if it's the people at the airport. Like we can treat people right. Even if you're in an uncomfortable situation, I get
Mhm.
it. And I understand he has anxiety and these other
Yeah.
things, but I feel
Mhm.
like I can understand your reasonings. I can understand the anxiety. I can understand all of that.
Mhm.
To me, it doesn't excuse treating people that way.
Way.
It
Mhm.
doesn't.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I didn't, I just never thought to ask, like, let me see the text. Like seriously, my 20-year-old self probably would have. I was very investigative back then. Um, but this version of me is a whole different person, and I
Yeah.
don't care anymore. Like I don't need to see the proof. I will read in between the lines. If you're going
Yeah.
to tell me a story three different ways,
Yeah.
there that story can't be that true.
Yeah. That's fair. So to wrap things up, what were your fondest memories with Chad? What were some of the like your favorite times, whether with Chad, whether without, of the whole experiment?
Yeah. I think some of my favorite times with him were probably when we had like fun moments. Like we had gone out for like a real nice dinner one time, and then um we had that night where we like listened to music all night. You almost like just felt like you were two kids in the living room just
Mm-hmm.
jamming out to music that was so old and that you haven't heard in forever.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think that was good times. I think it was really cool just being able to meet everybody, and then having the experience with my daughter, of course, was like insane.
Yeah.
But fun all at the same time. We didn't see each other as much as people think we did either. Like at the
Oh.
honeymoon, her and Josh were like honeymooning almost by themselves. We actually saw Brittany and Will more than we saw Jalen and Josh. So yeah, their producer kept them
Oh, wait.
all, secluded over there. So yeah, I think the process could have been more fun. I think
Yeah.
if Chad would have been okay with the cameras, I feel like we would have been able to have like a better I don't know, like we could have gotten to know each other better. I just feel
Yeah.
like when you're working, 10 to 6:30, you film from 6:30 on, and then
Yeah.
the rest of the time production leaves, and it's nothing but sleep time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the time where I wanted to like dive deeper, get some more insight as to who you
Yeah.
are, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, how can you like really get to know that person? And I think that's where it kind of was hard. Is like I'm trying to get to know
Yeah.
you, but and yes, there were times I sat with him on the couch and we watched movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to go to sleep at 11. I mean, I don't even think that's that early. 11 is still late. I don't
These
know. You
days
think that
it's
11 is
early.
late?
These days it's early. People go to
11?
bed, doom scroll till at 12, 1 a.m.
Okay, I thought staying up till 11 was late. Um, so yeah, no, I go to sleep. I like to go to sleep by 11. I
Yeah.
don't always, but there were nights I stayed up with him and watched movies. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a night he came and sat at the bed, and we had a conversation, and it was nice. And I know the next day he was like telling everybody, "Oh, we had such a great time last night. We just sat and had this conversation, and it was great. We got to know each other." And I was like, yeah, and like trying to get him to understand that that's what I want more of.
One
That's
all
what
the time.
we need more of. Like that's how
Yeah.
we get to know each other on a deeper level. And I feel like it kind of was staying surface level.
So even when you were moving in, even though it was move in, move out day, did you think or did you already know like this is probably not gonna last, but I'm still gonna give it my all?
I did feel like I'm not sure, but I was still hopeful. Like I know
Yeah.
that's so weird, but
Yeah.
I'm a hopeless romantic. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's still some level of hope, and you think what if, right? I mean, what
Yeah.
if? What if the cameras go and it actually is better and you gave it
Mm-hmm.
a chance? And what if you never did give it that chance, right?
Yeah.
There's that. I feel like there's always that. And that's why I kind of was like, I got to do this, because if I don't, I'll have a what if.
Yeah.
And this way, I don't have any what ifs. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I know that we tried it, and I know that I know that when I'm ready to walk away from something, I was ready to walk away from it, and
Yeah.
the time made sense. And yeah.
Yeah. Who are you close to now on the cast right now?
um Jalen.
I hope so. Well, who you in contact with? I guess is a better
I
question.
know. The girls, we all have a group. We have a group chat. I don't
Okay.
see them much. They're younger. They hang out
Mm-hmm.
and do
Mm-hmm.
their thing. Like, um, on the show, we all hang out together. But in reality, like, they're going to stay
Yeah.
up later than I ever am.
Past 11.
I don't like driving to downtown Austin.
Yeah.
To where they
Yeah.
all are, or wherever they are. But yeah, I'm just a homebody. I like to just be here.
Yeah,
So,
because I mean, Rhonda said you guys are going to travel the world. So, do you get in
right.
contact with Rhonda also? Do you guys
I
garden?
I Rhonda Rhonda seems to be traveling the world. Rhonda is always somewhere. So every now and then we'll get together and we'll all go out to have dinner.
Mhm.
And we try to do something like that every now and then.
Okay.
It's just really hard because I feel like she's got a lot going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it seems to me that she travels a lot.
Hey.
But yeah, I don't know. Like we were not like on the phone every day or anything like that.
And then with Chad after the reunion, how did you guys what was the vibe like after the reunion was done filming? Did you get a hug? Did you guys speak at all?
You know, I had seen Chad 2 times, after everything had ended, and it was at 2 birthday parties. I think one was Pat's, one was Brittany's. Brittany's was the last time
Okay.
I had seen him, and
Okay.
both times I was the last person to arrive.
Mhm.
And so when I got there, I hugged everybody,
Yeah.
like that's what Hispanics do, right? We hug everybody.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
when I got to Chad, I hugged him as well. And, because I didn't feel like there's any animosity or anything. At the reunion, I had just watched all these episodes. I had just watched how he sat there and said, I put up with this dog for XYZ.
Oh yeah.
And and yeah, that just kind of like
Yeah. He's the alpha
just
in his
didn't give me a
house.
good feel at all.
Yeah.
And so I just was like, I don't need to hug him. I don't need to. I don't need to exchange words or anything. I've been that person. I
Yeah.
hugged him the 2 times I saw him at a party, even though everything went down the way it did.
Mhm.
And he didn't approach me. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
that's fair. Yeah. So my final question, I do this with my guests. I always say if they're single, like if you've watched previous MAFS seasons, who would you match yourself with? I know it's a little different with you, so I'm going to do a little twist and say, who would you match Jalen with from previous seasons that you've watched? I thought about it a lot. I came up with one person, but they might be a little older, but I will see if you have someone
Oh my
that you
gosh.
think that you look at them and you're like, "Oh, this would be a
That
good
would be a
fit
good
for
person.
Jalen because you know her better."
Oh, man. That's I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who I would have matched her with. I guess
Yeah.
'cause in my mind, I guess previous seasons to me, they're older than her.
Yeah.
So there's really not anybody that I can think
Yeah.
of right off the top. Like right off the top, I can think of who all my favorites are. So they're
Okay.
they're not single. Um, so
Who are
let's
your
see.
favorites?
Who are my favorites?
Yes.
Um, Woody and
Okay.
Amani
Yes.
they've always been my favorites. I've been following them
Yes.
forever since their season.
Yes.
Um, Miles was one of my
Yes.
favorites. Actually,
Yes.
he's not with Karen anymore. So,
Yes. He's single.
um, uh,
And he's young. He was 26 when he did it. So,
really?
yes, he was young.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know the ages of anybody,
Yeah.
and I don't have
Okay.
like good memory timeline or anything.
Yeah.
Um, but um,
Miles would
trying
be
to
good.
think who else I follow. I follow. Gosh, my memory with names is horrific.
Oh, it's okay. If you give me a description, I'll help you with it.
Um, he's like a Latin guy.
Miguel?
Um, no, no, no. They
Juan?
stayed married. This couple stayed married, and they have
Oh, they
kids
stayed.
now. Because I follow them
Oh,
too. They have kids.
okay. Now I'm just blanking too. And they're
I
going
know.
on
I'm
Latin.
like, "Ah, I have to go find them. All
Okay.
of my favorites I follow on Instagram.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone's probably yelling at the podcast now, like, it's this person. Oh, Vincent and Brianna.
Yes, them. Yes, yes, yes. I love watching them.
Yeah.
I loved watching when Woody washed Amani's hair
Yeah.
online. I was like, oh my
They're
god, that
cute.
is so cute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're cute. The person that came to mind for me at first glance, not my final answer, but I was just going through it, was Clint from the Nashville season, only because he's so fun and Jalen
Mhm.
is so bubbly and so fun and he loves dogs and he just likes to do things and he likes to cook and it just seemed like their energies would match, but he is a
Uh-huh.
little bit older. That was the only thing.
Ah.
So
How much older?
he should be 40 something.
Oh,
I
wow.
think. Yeah, I think he should be 40 something now. So that's why I think that he'll be much
So she'd be
older.
dating
Yeah.
somebody in my age range.
Yes. On there. But yeah, you guys listening, if you have someone that you think would be a good fit for Jalen, let me know because
I know.
kind of stumped. But
I this totally different show, but I know like some of the guys that have gone like on The Bachelor, there I've had some
mhm.
favorites, and I would tell her, "Oh my God, this one's coming to Austin. Like maybe you should accidentally run into him, or you know what I mean? Like
I'm gonna pick your brain after this to find out who it is because I watched The Bachelor and also and it's like
yeah,
who would be a good
oh yeah,
fit.
I have some that I've always told her like, please run into this person, and she's like, no,
Just slide into DMs. That's what we do now. You don't need to run into
yeah.
them. I know that. But this has been so much fun. But before we wrap things up, is there any last words that you have or any misconception that you want to clear or and just anything? This is your floor and your time to just lay it all out for the people to hear.
Hmm. Gosh, I don't know. I feel like I've said so much. Um, um, I don't know. I I think I think one thing I think that something that came across I think to a lot of people I've kind of heard this come across a lot is people saying
Mhm.
she cared more about the show and the cameras. And
Really?
I think for me, what I would want people to take from that is kind of like I know that you don't get to see it all, so it's kind of hard to say dig a little deeper, but
Hmm.
but I feel like if we do go a little deeper, it's not about the show and the cameras. It's for me, it's about the people.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I said that earlier, but for me, it's like, people always say, see how they treat the waiter, right? And
Hmm.
we all know that the waiter is just the symbol of how you treat people.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with production. Production were the people who were around us the most.
Yeah. Hmm.
And so it's not so much about the show, the cameras, the production itself. It's about the people and people interactions and how we treat people. And and yes, maybe we are different, and you treat people the way you treat people, and I treat people the way I treat people. But I feel like can't we just like all get along and be respectful? Can we just be respectful of the fact that people are doing their jobs around us? And and even though we're upset, we can still tell
Hmm.
someone, "Hey, I'm upset. Give me a minute." Instead of just like lashing out at people. And maybe that's easier said than done for some. I don't know. But
Hmm.
look, I just want world peace, okay? I'm like Miss Congeniality. I'm here for world peace. I found my peace. I want everybody else to find theirs. That's really
Mm,
what I want for people. And so that for me, that's what it was all about.
yeah. Okay. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective and for chatting with me this long. If you want people to find you, you can share with them where they can find you
Oh my
online
gosh.
or your socials
Um,
or not.
um, oh Jalen will be like, my mom doesn't know how to tell you that.
Okay.
Um, I
I
guess,
can I can put that in for you. I can put it
yeah.
in my show
All I know
notes.
is my Instagram is Belynda_C.
Yes. So you can find
Okay.
her on there on Instagram.
When I'm on Facebook, I don't know what I'm on Facebook under. I'm sure my name, Belinda.
I'm just laughing because I don't even think I know how to operate Facebook anymore. I stopped using it.
Really?
I
Oh my
stopped
God,
using it a
that's
long
so
time
funny.
ago.
I know. I crack up with a bunch of people who are like, "Oh, she wants to be an influencer," and I'm like, "Well, damn, I can't even tell you where to find me on Instagram." like
Honestly,
I just learned how to open up the DMs,
oh,
the arrow at the bottom. I called the kids and I
yes.
was like, I was getting these messages, and all of a sudden they stopped, and they're like, "Mom, hit the arrow at the bottom."
That's so funny. But honestly, I was going to say, I don't even see what's wrong with being an influencer because I think at the last episode, what I said was, I hope for anyone who wants to be an influencer from moving to Peacock, I hope they achieve that because why not?
Yeah.
It's a new world. It's a new way
Yeah.
to make a living, and it could be fun, and you can make it the way you want to. So, when people say that, I'm like, is that supposed to be an insult? Because hey,
You're like, I'm
it's
doing
fine.
it.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it would definitely be fun. It's a lot of
yeah,
technology to learn. That's what I
yes,
think in my mind. I mean, it
yes.
just took me a minute to learn how to see the DMs. So now it's like, got to figure all this out.
Well, congratulations! You're gonna get a lot of DMs now. So,
Right.
well.
Like, now she knows how to read them. Yeah. Like there's some I opened up and there was like three of them. And I was like, oh, sorry. I just learned how to see this.
Well, hopefully you learn more and more and more, and maybe one day you'll be an influencer, Belinda. You never know.
Yeah. That'd be fine.
Well, thanks, guys. You guys know where to find me. Also call MAFS on all of the socials. Please give me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and stay subscribed so you don't miss out on any other episodes that are coming out. Until next time, guys. Bye.